All right, today we're talking about what it's really like to live in space. We're going to go behind the scenes on the International Space Station and see the day-to-day reality of an astronaut's life.
I mean, you've seen the pictures, right? The incredible spacewalks, the floating. But what about the rest of it? The normal stuff, like waking up, eating, just getting through the day. Well, that's what we're going to get into. Let's see what life is actually like 250 miles above our heads.
So, to really get a handle on a day in space, you have to understand the one thing that changes, well, everything. It's the single massive challenge that shapes every single thing an astronaut does.
And that challenge is called microgravity. You got to wrap your head around this because it's the key to the whole story. It's this state of near weightlessness where there's no up, there's no down, everything just floats. And that one simple fact turns normal everyday life into this series of really fascinating puzzles.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning of the day, the morning routine. You're about to see how the most basic things we do without even thinking are completely different when you take gravity out of the equation.
So, first things first, sleeping. How do you even stay in bed? Seriously, if you weren't secured, you'd just drift off in your sleep. The solution's actually pretty simple. Astronauts zip themselves into these sleeping bags that are literally strapped to the walls of their little cabins, which are about the size of a phone booth. It keeps them from floating away. Okay, so you're awake. Time for a nice, hot shower, right? Nope, not gonna happen. Up there, water doesn't flow down a drain. It forms these floating bubbles that could get everywhere and wreck the equipment. So forget the shower. To get clean, astronauts use rinseless body wipes and a special no-rinse shampoo. It works, but it's definitely not the same thing.
Even something as basic as brushing your teeth gets weird. Okay, so steps 1 and 2, totally normal. You put the toothpaste on the brush, you brush your teeth. But then you get to step 3. There's no sink, so what do? You just spit into a towel? It's one of those little details that really makes you realize how different it is up there.
And you know, we have to talk about what is truly one of the most complex things to master in space, using the toilet. It doesn't use water like on Earth. It uses airflow, basically a vacuum, to pull everything away. Astronauts actually have to train on a mock-up on Earth to learn how to use it just right. That is one thing you do not want to mess up.
All right, we're up, we're clean. So what's for breakfast? Let's get into the next challenge, trying to eat a meal when your food wants to float away.
To stop your dinner from flying across the room, it's all about clever packaging and engineering. A lot of the food comes in these vacuum-sealed pouches. Some of it's freeze-dried, so you have to inject water into the package to rehydrate it. And to drink anything, you're using special straws with a clamp on them so liquid doesn't escape. Oh, and the cutlery? It's magnetic, so it sticks to your tray. Pretty smart.
So, after breakfast, the workday starts. And make no mistake, being an astronaut isn't a vacation. It's a really demanding job, and it's packed with science, repairs, and a whole lot of sweat.
You have to remember, the ISS is a cutting-edge laboratory. Astronauts are the scientists and the mechanics. Their days are scheduled down to the minute, with everything from running experiments to just keeping the station running. And yeah, sometimes that job means going outside for a spacewalk, which is one of the most dangerous and physically demanding things they can do.
But in that packed schedule, there is one thing that is absolutely non-negotiable. And it comes down to this number, 2. Every astronaut has to exercise for 2 hours. Every single day.
So why? What's the big deal? Well, without gravity constantly pulling on you, your body starts to kind of fall apart. Your muscles get weaker and your bones lose density at an alarming rate. To fight that, they have to strap themselves into treadmills with harnesses and use these special resistance machines to mimic lifting weights. It's not just for fitness, it's a medical necessity to make sure they're healthy enough to come back to Earth. After a long day of science and maintenance and that grueling workout, you'd think they'd just be exhausted. But astronauts get access to a reward, a perk of the job that is just like nothing else on Earth. This quote just nails it, because for all of the challenges, all of the mechanical routines, space is also a place of just absolute wonder. The hardship is real, but so is the beauty. They exist right next to each other. And if you want to understand that wonder, just think about this. The space station is hurtling around the Earth at over 17,000 miles an hour.
For the crew, that means they see a sunrise and a sunset every 90 minutes. That's 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets every day. Can you even imagine that?
So, in the end, this isn't just a list of cool facts. Every single thing we learn about living in orbit, from how to brush your teeth to how to exercise, is crucial data. It's helping us figure out how to plan for those future missions to the moon and eventually to Mars. But maybe the biggest lesson comes from them just looking out the window, back at our planet and realizing how precious and fragile it is.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. If this whole experience of living in space has taught us to appreciate our own planet more, what's the next big lesson that's waiting for us out there among the stars? Thanks for joining us.